Good evening and welcome to Primetime News on MITV. I am Victor Daniels. In the news, President Bola Tinubu has announced the suspension of emergency rule in Rivers State. President Tinubu announced this in a statement he signed on Wednesday. He explained that as of March the 18th, when he declared the state of emergency in the state, there was a total collapse of governance and the fragmentation of the State House of Assembly. He said that his intervention, along with that of other well-meaning Nigerians, to resolve the conflicts proved abortive, as both sides remained rigidly entrenched in their positions to the detriment of peace and the development of the state. President Tinubu, however, stated that based on the intelligence available to him, there is a groundswell of a new spirit of understanding, robust readiness and potent enthusiasm among all stakeholders in Rivers State for an immediate return to democratic governance. He said that he did not see why the state of emergency should exist a day longer than the 6 months and he had pronounced at the beginning of it. On the opposition to the declaration of emergency rule in the state, which had condemnation from some quarters, Tinubu said that he was aware that there were a few voices of dissent against the proclamation, which led to their instituting over 40 cases in the courts in Abuja, Port Harcourt and Yenagoa to invalidate the declaration. And in the meantime, the Center of Credible Leadership and Citizens Awareness, CCLCA, has commended the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission for its exemplary management of the recent local government election. And speaking on Wednesday at the media briefing in Abuja, Dr. Nwambu Gabriel Chibuzo, representing the coalition, praised and his team for organizing the polls within a time frame that typically takes Nigeria's national electoral body about a year to prepare. Dr. Chibuzo underscored the transparency, fairness and strict adherence to federal electoral laws observed through the pre- and post-election processes. And he said the success in Rivers State sets a strong precedent for electoral bodies across Nigeria as striving for integrity and professionalism in election management. The federal government has announced new incentives to attract agricultural investment, and under President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope agenda, Vice President Kashim Shettima disclosed this in Abuja at the Food and Agricultural Organization (FAO), a national and sub-regional hand-in-hand investments forum, and saying that the reforms are designed to unlock Nigerians' vast food production potential and drive infrastructural growth. The Vice President highlighted a single-window platforms for land registration, strengthening agricultural credit systems, expanded irrigation, and mechanization as key initiatives. He noted that Nigeria has capacity to irrigate over 3 million hectares, but currently uses less than 10%, stressing that investment in irrigation could triple yields and reduce seasonal dependence. Shettima, however, assured investors that Nigeria is re-engineering policies to attract capital through regulatory reforms, public-private partnership, and agri-tech innovation, stressing that the national blueprint targets the creation of 21 million jobs in rural communities and aims to lift 35 million Nigerians out of poverty by 2025. Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Senator Abubakar Kyari, and Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Senator Atiku Bagudu, also showcased Nigerians' vast agribusiness potential. And while international partners, including the FAO, the EU, and the Gambia's agricultural minister, commended Nigerians' leadership in agricultural transformation.
Nothing unifies humanity as much as hunger. It is a great equalizer that reveals our vulnerabilities and the shared fragility of our existence. Hunger strips away our differences and confronts us with the reality that food is not merely a matter of survival, it is a matter of global security. Every threat to food availability is an invitation to stand together, to compare notes and to find collective means of scaling up production to meet the demands of our growing populations. This forum is a proof of that promise, and I'm honored to join you today on this road to abundance. Our pride as a nation is not defined solely by the size of our economy, nor is it merely about the vastness of our population. Our true privilege lies in the enormity of our arable land and the industriousness of our useful population, eager and capable of cultivating this land and sustaining viable enterprises around agriculture. They are the heartbeat of our green revolution, the custodians of our future prosperity and the builders of a Nigeria that must feed itself and feed the world. The vehicle to this future is the quality of policies we have chosen to prioritize.
Private sector. Nigeria's digital economy is one of the fastest growing in Africa, powering mobile and fintech solutions. Our private sector is increasingly active, from the Dangote, Olam Agri, flour mills, and Bua, to agri-tech startups and farmer service providers. Not to even mention innovators like the Samson Ogbole Soilless Labs and the Femi Adekoya Flying Farmers, who show that agriculture in Nigeria is not only traditional but also high-tech and future-oriented. Third, agroecological diversity. From the humid south to the Sahel north, our land supports year-round crops, livestock, and aquaculture, enabling specialization and climate-smart agriculture. Fourth, our markets. Nigeria itself offers a domestic market of more than 230 million people, while ECOWAS and the African Continental Free Trade Area provide gateway to over 1 billion across Africa. Well, the slide,
because most of our agriculture still is rain-fed agriculture because of limitations of irrigation. And with irrigation, a second crop or even a third crop is possible, so it's sensible and economic. Our fishing communities are also still reliant on freshwater bodies that cannot hold cannot hold significant amount of fish. So modernization and mobilizing and getting them to move to aquaculture requires a lot of investment. The third element, animal husbandry, requires more resources in the sense that rather than being the engine of economic opportunity, which you have recognized, this government have recognized by creating the livestock ministry, it remains underinvested and therefore a driver of conflict rather than even the driver of economic opportunity that it ought to be.
For me to join you today for this important national and sub-regional hand-in-hand investment forum. This initiative by the Food and Agricultural Organization reflects Nigeria's strong commitment to transforming agriculture, strengthening food security, and building a more resilient future. Agriculture remains the backbone of Nigeria's economy and a vital source of food, jobs, and livelihoods. Yet, the sector continues to face significant pressures: climate change, irregular rainfall, and increasing demand for land and water. Irrigation, in particular, is not only a technical solution, but also a strategic investment in resilience, productivity, and rural prosperity.
Excellencies, let me mention that in Nigeria, the Hand-in-Hand initiative has made remarkable strides in identifying and matching investment opportunities in agriculture with interests of private sector. bilateral and multilateral developments, and international financial institutions. Through collaborative efforts, we have supported the development of bankable investment cases across priority agricultural value chains, unlocking new pathways for food security, nutrition, job creation, and economic growth. We have worked closely with federal and state authorities to identify high-impact opportunities.
The presidency has dismissed claims by the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar that hunger is ravaging Nigeria and describing his remark as misleading and disconnected from reality. Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, faulted Atiku's comparison of Nigerian situation to pre-revolution France and Russia, insisting that current data paints a different picture. Onanuga noted that headline inflation has declined for 5 consecutive months, and while Nigeria recorded a trade surplus in August, with non-oil exports contributing almost equally to crude oil at a ratio of 48.52. The presidential spokesman added that foreign reserves have risen to nearly 42 billion US dollars, up from 42 billion US dollars up to 32 billion US dollars in May 2023, and despite the clearance of over 7 billion US dollars in arrears, including 800 million US dollars owed to airlines. He further stated that states are enjoying unprecedented revenues, enabling them to pay salaries and gratuities promptly and while funding the capital projects. The presidency maintained that President Bola Tinubu's administration is correcting the past economic management with bold reforms and stressing that Nigeria is on the path of progress despite opposition criticism. And the First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, has called for a world anchored on peace, stressing the need to resist the provocations of war and promote understanding among nations. She made the call while receiving the ambassador of the State of Qatar to Nigeria, Ali bin Ghanem Al Hajr, at her office in Abuja, and reacting to a recent attack in Doha, the Qatari capital. Mrs. Tinubu expressed solidarity with the Gulf nation, noting that peace, as taught by the major religion, is dear to the heart of God. The meeting, which was held largely behind closed doors, also explored the new areas of partnership between the renewed initiative RHI and the Carter Foundation of Education, Science and Community Development. And the discussion centered on tackling Nigerians' out-of-school children challenge with particular focus on reforming the Al-Majiri system of education. Ambassador Al-Hajr further thanked the First Lady and the people of Nigeria for their support and prayers for global peace during what he described as a difficult period for his country. He also affirmed that Nigeria holds a special place in the heart of the state of Qatar. And the former Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, has stressed the need for sustainable content strategies in today's fragmented digital environment, while reflecting on the dramatic transformation of the media industry in the country. The former minister disclosed these while speaking at the 4th edition of the Nigerian Electronic Media Content Exhibition and Awards 2025, themed Sustainable Content in a Fragmented Media Space. Mohammed noted that the broadcasting industry once followed a simple, predictable path, which was produced create broadcasters air and household watch a television at a fixed hour. He said that a traditional model, which dominated the media space for decades, has now dissolved into a broadless global ecosystem where audiences consume content across multiple platforms and devices. He emphasized that the digital shift has disrupted a traditional broadcasting in creating new opportunities but also significant challenges, particularly in sustaining quality regional content in an increasing competitive and fragmented space. In his remark, the former CEO Guinness Nigeria, Seni Adetu, said that while the new media landscape has given Nigerian creators a global stage, that it has also heightened the demand for innovation, creativity, and business models that can guarantee a long-term sustainability. The NEMSIA 2025 event brought together broadcasters, producers, regulators, and digital media entrepreneurs to discuss the future of Nigerians' creative content.
Content for the sake of content means nothing. It has to be content that delivers value both to the consumers of that content and as well as the producers of the content. In other words, members of MCON, as they call the association. Because what we've seen is that there's so much fragmentation in the media space in Nigeria, with the result that quality, authenticity, and the likes of that are challenges to content. So today I was really challenging them to say, look, how do you build scale? How do you build collaboration to ensure that standards are upheld and to ensure that everybody gets value from content creation? And also because the size of the prize is really high. I mean, people are talking about 50 billion, 60 billion naira in value that is yet untapped. So I think today was a good day for content creators to come together and decide how they want to shape their future. So that was what today was about.
This year, electronic media content exhibition. MCI is important because, like we said, there's always a need to gather stakeholders to discuss. There's always a need to gather stakeholders to discuss. There's always a need to have an atmosphere where
we believe that the media is central to national development. It informs, educates, entertains, but more importantly, it shapes value, perception, and identity. This is why we are determined to strengthen collaboration with associations such as MCON, industry stakeholders, and regulatory bodies to ensure that our media remain innovative, ethical, inclusive, and impactful. I strongly believe that the conversation, exhibition, and recognitions that will take place at the 4th edition of NEMSIA will open new frontiers for our content industry. They will also help us to find practical solutions to the pressing issues of funding, intellectual property protection, digital transition, and global competitiveness.
The Director General of the Institute of Peace and Conflict Resolution, IPCR, Dr. Joseph Ochogu, has identified the weak and absent governance at the grassroots as one of the biggest drivers of insecurity in Nigeria. He warned that the communities left without effective local government structures are exposed to violent actors. And speaking in Abuja at a press conference to mark the 2025 International Day of Peace and the 25th anniversary of IPCR, Ochogu said that findings from the Institute's 25 years of research and interventions consistently point to governance gaps at the community level as the root of many conflicts. Ochogu also raised alarm over the deteriorating security situation in the Sahel, warning that instability there would inevitably spill to Nigeria. He commended President Bola Tinubu and the Attorney General of the Federation for securing a Supreme Court judgment affirming local government autonomy and describing it as a bold step that, if enforced, could change the conflict landscape of Nigeria. Beyond security concerns, the DG highlighted the Institute's track record over the past 25 years, recalling the landmark interventions such as the Niger Delta Peace Process, where the IPCR convened dialogues that paved the way for the Presidential Amnesty Program.
One of the significant findings, concerning community levels of violence and why they have remained protracted and seeming intractable. Our findings caught up long ago, with the issue of weak and absence of governance at the local level. I think in the first 2-3 years of the Institute, that was quickly identified in the first strategic conflict assessment, 2003, where local communities were just left alone without the presence of local government. And our research kept re-echoing that. What that means is that if you don't have the presence of local governments at local community level, then you make those communities vulnerable and susceptible to violence in those local.
And we now take a short break. Where we'll come back, we'll give you some more reports.
Good evening and welcome to the greatest show on earth. This is a people's game. They will be bubbling about this one for weeks and months to come. Let's go! Lights, camera, action. Put your mind to it, live the life that you
Stay connected. Stay with us, starting from Yanga and Jolly.
Welcome back. The Lagos State government has restated its commitment to reducing the youth unemployment in the state through strategic career initiative. Similarly, the government says that it will not relent in its commitment to equipping residents of the state, particularly the youth, with the tools, skills, and opportunities required to thrive in today's competitive economy. Governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, stated this at the 2025 Job Fair with the theme, Your Career, Your Way, Explore Endless Possibilities, and aimed at connecting Lagos youths with job and entrepreneurial opportunities across the various industries. The 2025 Job Fair brought together over 300 firms and 5,000 young job seekers. The governor, who was represented by the Commissioner for Wealth Creation and Employment, Bankole Ajibutafe, said the event as a strong demonstration of the state government's resolved to build an inclusive economy where no talent is wasted and every ambition is given a chance to flourish. The head of service, Olabode Agoro, who was represented by the permanent secretary, the Ministry of Housing, Abdullah Hafiz Bolaho Toriola, used the forum to call on the stakeholders to support the state government in implementing a sustainable wealth creation programs for the people. The commissioner disclosed that over 200,000 jobs have been created in the past 4 years through direct and indirect interventions of the ministry. The permanent secretary in the ministry, Wasiu Adebayo Olayinka, expressed the profound appreciation to Governor Sanwo-Olu for his visionary leadership and unwavering support for initiatives targeted at youth empowerment and inclusive prosperity.
It's a platform where we're bringing the private sector, the government, and our youth together, the unemployed, the underemployed, to create an avenue, a platform where they can get an advantage to be employed in whatever field or whatever profession that they've learned in school. Whatever they've learned in school is an opportunity for us to create where the employees can come and meet these people and take them off the street. There are thousands of our youth here. I know this opportunity will give them jobs, because we have employers here that are ready to take them and ready to employ them. So by the grace of God, this will be a testimony for them. We have over 300 employers here. They're ready to recruit this young, talented, energetic youth. So I know by the grace of God, they will all be employed by the grace of God.
The importance of this Jobs Fair is to bring the youth that are unemployed in our society to meet with the prospective employer of labor. So we're creating a kind of a marketplace for them, where those people that are looking for a job will meet with the job providers. And what we're doing in essence is that the governor of Lagos State, in his magnanimity, has been doing all he can to ensure that everybody is not left behind. so that when they are employed, definitely they will add to the economic growth of the state.
The essence of this job fair, is the opportunity Lagos State had created to connect job seekers and for captains of industry, for them to leverage, for the job seekers to be able to know the nitty-gritty, the criteria, why and how they can be employed, and how they can leverage on the skills they have acquired, the passion they have in them. So this is a very good opportunity. It's a way of bridging the gap between the unemployed and the companies.
Learned a lot. One of the things I've learned is that you have to be open-minded and you have to network. You have to meet people and have that business-minded orientation. It's not compulsory. You have to work in the public sector. You have to have a business-minded orientation too.
I'm coming here to understand how to bridge the gap between the job seekers and the employers, for me to network, to gain from different panel speakers.
More understanding about the job market and how to network, improve my communication skills, and just basically learn more about the job market, get more opportunities.
The Special Advisor to the Lagos State Governor on EGIS and Urban Development, Olajide Babatunde, has advised surveyors to take active roles in politics and embrace the modern technology to remain relevant in today's world. Babatunde disclosed these at the annual workshop of the Association of Private Practicing Surveyors of Nigeria, a Lagos State branch, on Wednesday. Babatunde also advised surveyors to combine the classroom knowledge with field experience and the way the medical doctors teach in hospitals while still practicing. SA Surveyors Matters Lagos State Surveyor Ayokunu Adesina also stressed the importance of unity and calling on the surveyors to work closely with Lagos State government and their professional bodies, including the Nigerian Institution of Surveyors, NIS. And also the keynote speaker at the workshop, Lord Sheyi, stressed the role of corporate excellence in enhancing service delivery and public trust in profession. He encouraged surveyors to adopt the best practices in corporate governance, ethics, and client relations to raise the profile of the profession nationally and internationally. And earlier, the chairman of the APPSN, Afolabi Olaoluwa, said that the theme for this year's workshop, Building the Resilient Surveyors, Integrating Legacy Practice with Innovation and Corporate Excellence, highlighted the importance of balancing traditional surveying methods with modern technological tools to achieve sustainable professional growth.
So I want to encourage you today. We should try as much as possible to embrace what we do. Let us work together. Ensure that the Geo-Information Society of Nigeria, just as you are part of NIS, make sure that you are also part of that profession.
Any land information or parcel status information that is to be obtained by either would-be investors or those who already have parcels or properties within the state who are desirous of obtaining title must approach the Office of the State Surveyor General to obtain the parcel status, which is very key in the issuance of certificate of occupancy.
Put in the right topics and curriculum, make the curriculum more robust so that the students are more close to the industry. Remove all the downtown divide. There's a lot of downtown divide in the industry. You have to practice with integrity. You have to practice and use the principles. They are principles of solving and they have never changed, despite the fact that it's technology and advancement. Practice with integrity, character, and add value. Accuracy and precision are what distinguish a real surveyor. So I encourage the young surveyors to put integrity as part of their watchword, make integrity their habitual character.
We have to continue to train, organize training for our members so that they can be able to meet up with these challenges at every point in time, so that we will not be lacking behind, while others are joining the train of evolving the technology throughout the world and in various fields and professions. That was what informed this year's
The Nigerian Institute of Town Planners, Lagos State chapter, has commended the Lagos State government for the progress made in urban development, but stressed that plans on paper must translate into action. Speaking at a press briefing in Lagos to flag off the Institute annual general meeting with the theme Town Planning and Investment Opportunities in Lagos State, the chapter chairman, Oladile Akindele, praised the government for initiatives such as the preparation of operative development plans, the new urban planning laws, GIS and CAP programs, and the employment of young planners. He, however, urged the state to back these efforts with stronger implementation, improved funding, and greater involvement of local governments. The Institute also recommended the review of building permit fees, the reintroduction of an amnesty program for unapproved structures, and the creation of Town Planner General Office to provide the technical guidance at the highest level. Concerns were also raised over the Ministry of Environment, demanding the environmental impact assessments from existing buildings, which the Institute described as contrary to the law. Among the key plans referenced were the Koshofe, Lagos Island, Alimosho, and Ibeju-Lekki model city plans, as well as the Lekki Infrastructure Master Plan, all aimed at structured growth and efficient land use. He praised the administration's commitment to ensuring Lagos remains the only state in the country with such a consistent approach to physical planning.
It is now necessary and timely too to create the position of a Town Planner General in Lagos State. After all, we have Tutor General, we have Auditor General, Accountant General, Surveyor General, and so on and so forth. So having a Town Planner General should not in any way be difficult. For Town Planners to take full charge of the city planning, development and management in a sustainable manner, and to support the state government with technical advice. The theme for the AGM lecture is Town Planning and Investment Opportunities in Lagos State. We expect that this theme should be of interest to government, all professionals in the built environment, and the investor public, both local and international. Lagos is the commercial hub of Nigeria and West African region. Lagos State is where to be when investors think of investments. And you all know that all developments, social, economic, cultural, political, educational, name it, are based on land. And it is within the purview of town planning to make adequate and efficient provision for all these land uses.
The Oyo State government has announced plans to launch a mass vaccination campaign against measles and rubella, targeting approximately 3.7 million children aged 9 months to 14 years across the state, following reported cases of outbreaks in 6 local government areas. The Executive Secretary of the Oyo State Primary Healthcare Board, Dr. Muideen Olatunji, disclosed that the vaccination exercise will take place from October the 4th to October the 14th, 2025, with 2 additional days, October 15th and 16th, allocated for catch-up vaccinations. He emphasized that measles and rubella are highly contagious diseases that can cause serious complications. The Oyo State Primary Health Care Board is set to launch a measles and rubella vaccination campaign targeting approximately 3 million children aged 9 months to 15 years. And according to Muideen Olatunji, the Executive Secretary of the board, the exercise aims to fill the gaps in vaccination coverage as many people misrepresent rubella. Dr. Olatunji emphasized that rubella poses a significant burden on the health sector, with Nigeria ranked second behind the Democratic Republic of Congo. And if left untreated, rubella can lead to severe complications, including deafness, blindness, and congenital abnormalities in pregnancy. The vaccination exercise is expected to be a routine, and parents are urged to make their children within the target age group available for vaccination. By immunizing their children, parents can help protect them from the risk associated with measles and rubella.
Rollout. Like I mentioned, the target age group we are focusing on between 9 months and 14 years. And by the population of the state, we are hoping to reach as much as about 3 million plus. In absolute figure, 3,694,610 eligible target group are the one we are targeting to focus on.
This is the overview of rubella. Under reported cases, rubella is burden in Nigeria because it's underdocumented. The burden in Nigeria because it's underdocumented. That is the reason. It's high susceptible. Now,
Bella has almost the same pathophysiology with measles. They are like twin sisters, measles and Bella. The best thing which we think is cheaper to prevent it from occurring, rather than it occur, and any life lost cannot buy such a life back. So it's better for us to make sure we prevent it from.
A former National Assembly member, Senator Mudashiru Hussain, has formally declared his intention to join the governorship race in the 2026 gubernatorial election in Osun State under the All Progressive Congress. Senator Mudashiru visited the APC State Secretariat with his loyalists to brief the leadership of the party on his ambition. He noted that the party is viable and more popular to unseat the ruling PDP in the state. Senator Hussain, who maintained that he is competent to govern Osun State, however, promised to honor the party and support any candidate who eventually fly the flags of the party to ensure victory for the APC in 2026.
I swear to Almighty God, I have what it takes to govern this state. A member of House of Representatives in Lagos State for 8 years, a member of the House of the Senate for 4 years, Federal Commissioner, National Population Commission, and acting SSG in the state of Osun State. What else do you want in terms of experience? I have it. All 12 aspirants, we are all qualified. We have something in our head. Whoever that party at hierarchy chooses, we abide by the constitution and by the rules of the party.
And that's it on the local news. We now take a short break. When we'll come back, we'll take some stories from the foreign scene. In the foreign scene, Mali's military government has sought to calm anger over the blockade by Islamist militants as major highways where lorry drivers have been facing ambushes and arson attacks. And in a rare acknowledgement of the seriousness of the situation affecting the landlocked country, Prime Minister Abdullahi Maiga said that the authorities were trying to improve the security on the roads. The blockades a potentially serious escalation of Mali's long-ruling jihadist insurgency is particularly affecting the supply of fuel, which could cripple the country. The Sahel region of West Africa is known as the epicenter of global terrorism, and accounting for more than 50% of all the terrorism-related deaths. And several analysts say that the aim of the Al-Qaeda-linked militants is to impose a blockade of the capital, Bamako. The Israeli army has subjected Gaza City to its most punishing attacks in 2 years of war, sending thousands of residents fleeing under the bombs and bullets aimed of fears that they might never return, with the United Nations chief calling the offensive horrendous. Israeli Minister of Defense Israel Katz said on X that Gaza is burning and columns of vans and donkeys' carts are laden with furniture and people and food, carrying the last of their worldly possession. Steamed down to the coastal Al-Rashid Street against the backdrop and black smoke arising from the destroyed city, and many had pledged to stay in the early days of Israel's takeover plan. But as the military accelerated the pace of its deadly bombing campaign, turning high-rises, homes and civilian infrastructure to rubble, those able to afford the journey are heading south with no guarantees of a safe zone for shelter. And at least 17 of the city's residential buildings were destroyed, but including the Al-Baqi Mosque in the Tufan neighborhood to east, which was targeted by an Israeli warplane. And meanwhile, the European Commission, the European Union's main executive body, has presented a much anticipated and delayed proposal to suspend certain trade-related provisions of the association agreement between the EU and Israel in response to Israel's war in Gaza. The sanctions, however, do not currently have enough support among the EU's 27 member countries to pass. But the proposals announced on Wednesday also included suggested sanctions on extremist Israeli ministers and violent settlers, as well as on Hamas. Kaja Kallas, the EU's foreign policy chief, urged the member nations to increase tariffs on some Israeli goods and impose sanctions on 10 Hamas leaders, Israeli settlers, and 2 far-right members of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu cabinet. National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir and Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich. The Commission also said that it was pausing its bilateral support to Israel, with the exception to support to civil society and Yad Vashem, the World Holocaust Remembrance Center.
Today in the college we also addressed the war in Gaza, Israel's push, Israeli government's push